Hello and welcome everybody, my alias is Zabron, and today on Guide to Hacker I'm going to be going over how to install Arch Linux with persistence and encryption. I haven't found a tutorial on this already, but there are other tutorials on installing an encrypted Arch Linux on your system. There's tutorials on persistent USB, but never a combined. There's a few tweaks that you have to input there that I found out from trial and error. So if you don't get any of this, or you want to try a different way, like if you're installing this on an UEFI system and not BIOS, you can look up a different tutorial and kind of take parts in there. I will explain what you need to do and what's essential for this to actually work. So this is just for BIOS systems, and if you're curious, I'm going to be installing this on a hard disk, a portable hard disk. It's going to be the Seagate Backup Plus Slim 1 terabyte. It's USB 3.0. This can be a USB device, it can be 2.0. It really doesn't matter. Space really doesn't matter. It just depends what you're going to be doing on it. Arch Linux is fairly small. So we're going to get started here. Again, to mention that I am doing this on my system itself. So I have installed Arch Linux on my PC, and I have a hard disk linked up right now. You can also do this from a USB. So say if you have Windows on your system, for example, you can boot off of Arch Linux and install an encrypted persistent Arch Linux, but it has to be a different USB that you're doing this from. It can't be the same one, because you're essentially going to be destroying everything and encrypting it, and you can't work on a system like that. So to get started here, we're going to open up a terminal and just log into root. We're going to have a lot of root commands, and we'll need root access for this to work. The first tool that we're going to use is cfdisk, and we're going to use the dev sd and whatever your partition is, right? So if we hit tab twice, you can see I have SDA. Now SDA is my drive that this Arch Linux is on. I know that for sure. We have SDB. Now SDB is my hard drive on the system itself too. I know that. And then we have SDC. SDC is my hard disk. And if you don't know, you could just do a sudo fdisk-l, and you'll see everything on here. You know, the size of things. Hopefully you can figure it out just by the size. But it's usually the last letter that you plug into. So, you know, SDA would be obviously a drive. SDB is if you have a second one. SDC if you have a third drive even. And then after that, it's wherever you plug in. So we're just going to use the cfdisk tool, and it's going to be the SDC partion for me. I've deleted everything. That's what you want to do if you're just using Arch Linux on that system. Obviously you can do half, but for simplicity's sake, I'm just clearing everything. So we're going to have a new partion here of 100 megabytes, and this is the boot partion. Minimum is 100. You could do more if you want to be safe about stuff, but 100's always work for me. And I'm all about saving space here, so 100 megabytes is fine. Primary, and then you want to go over to the bootable flag here and select that. This partition that we just created is what we're going to boot off of. It has to be unencrypted so that our system can read it. Whatever's going to be in here is just telling the computer to type in the password and unlock the next partition that we're going to be creating. So it needs to be unencrypted, and we need to boot from this. The next one is our actual encryption. We can create a swap if we want, but I'm just not going to do it for this tutorial. I think it's pretty unsecure, and I don't really know how to secure it yet. So we're just going to be creating the system itself, and it's just going to be all the space. And that's it. You just write it and enter yes and quit. So we have that all partitioned out. Now what we're going to do is actually format it and set up our encryption keys. So we're going to create a device mapper using the Lux encryption mode. So we're doing this by the crypt setup tool. You should automatically have this on your system if you're using Arch. And you're going to use the verbose, remember 2 tags, 2 hyphens, and the cipher. And this is going to be our what encryption method are we using. So we're going to use AES. Then it's going to be XTS plain 64. So that's what we're going to be using. It's really common and very secure. Our key size is going to be 512. And we also have to use a hash corresponding with that size. So we're just going to use hash SHA-512. And in my opinion, this is very, very secure. Really, no one's going to break into this. What really matters, if you're worried about people brute forcing your encryption, which is possible, you want to make it hard for people to do that. So we're going to add a iter time, and I'm going to select 4,000 here. Now what this basically is it's basically like a wait time for when you log in, and 4,000 means 4 seconds. It can be long, it can be short, but this basically means if you type in your password, you have to wait 4 seconds for this example for it to process. Obviously, the longer, the harder it is to brute force the password, but I think 4 seconds is fairly secure, especially with a long password. Then we're going to use a random LUX format. Be sure to capitalize the F in LUX format, and then this is going to be our device that we're encrypting. Remember, it's not the boot one, it is the biggest partion pretty much. So we have that on there. Mine's SDC2, and we're going to do that. Type in yes in all caps, and we're going to enter our passphrase. Make sure it's very long and secure, and we're going to be retyping it again. I might have messed it up actually. Yes, I did mess it up. This is what happens when you have a long password. And hopefully it looks like it's good. So it's encrypted, the command is successfully, and now we're just going to open it. So we're going to do that with the crypt setup command. It's going to be open, and then our type is LUX as we set it to, and it's going to be dev SDC2, remember, whatever we used it as in the previous command. And this is pretty much, think of it as your username. This is what I think of it as. I'm installing this on an already encrypted PC. So that means I've already encrypted this PC, and I've used a username called cryptroot. That's what it says in all these other tutorials. They say use cryptroot. And it's you know, it makes sense, you know, use this username. But I've already used it, and you kind of want to do something different from this, kind of make it unique if you're carrying this around. So you can make it whatever you want. I'm going to make it encrypt root. For this example, I don't think anyone really uses that encrypt root. That works fine for me. And this is basically going to use that username essentially. I just keep calling it username. It's not a username, but that's what I like to call it for simplicity's sake. So that's opened. We have that open. Now we're going to create a new directory to work in. So we're going to use the mkdir, and it's the make directory command in Linux. We are going to create a new ext4. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to actually, no, P with a P option, mk directory P, and this is going to make, we're going to make a new one called USB, for example. You can make it whatever you want. I just don't want to work in the mount directory because this is actually my system and I do stuff in the mount directory. So I just want to make a whole new one. Do that, and now we are going to format our partions, right? So we got mkfs.ext4, that's the file system we're going to be using, and the boot partion. So wherever you marked as bootable, make it ext4. It's going to run and pretty fast because it's only 100 megabytes. And then we're going to do the same command, and it's going to be dev mapper, and then whatever it is. So as you can see, this is why you have to make it different. If I do crypt root, it's going to select it because I already have crypt root in here. If I press tab twice, you'll see I have crypt root and encrypt root. So you do need to make those different. Make sure no one has the same username as you. If, you know, chances are they won't. But use something a little different. So encrypt root, we're going to format that. It's going to format everything for us. It might take a little bit of time. There we go. Now we can mount our ext4, so use the T option, and it's going to be dev mapper crypt or encrypt root for me, and it's going to be /USB. Again, whatever you want to work off of. I highly suggest you just do a new make a new directory. After that, you want to make another directory inside the directory you just made. So we're going to do mkdir with the P option and USB/boot. And we're going to do mount text4. This is going to be dev sdc1, and this is going to be, again, our boot. Mount that, and that is all set. Now we're just going to install our base packages and base development packages for our system so we can actually go in and configure some stuff. So we do this by, first of all, you want to install, if you haven't already, the Arch install scripts. As you can see, I already have it installed, so I'm not going to install it again. You will need that to access the packstrap commands. We're going to use packstrap. I'm still using sudo packstrap, the I option with /USB or whatever your directory you're working off of, and we're going to do two packages, base and base devel. So we'll let that sync up, and we'll be back when this is all done. Alright guys, we're back and this finished. Now what we're going to do is generate our fstab file. It pretty much tells our system where we're at. So we're going to do that by doing a gen fstab with a capital U option, a lowercase p. It's going to be our /USB directory or whatever you're working off of. And then USB etc fstab. And it generates it. Now if you just want to figure out what it says, make sure it's all there, because it doesn't really give you a progress. You can see that it's going to be listed as this right here. It's going to say that, data order. It's all set. So this is all set. After that, we're just going to go into our system actually. So we can arch chroot into /USB. And as you can see, we are in here. Now we're going to set our language. We're going to set this by going to etc locale.gen. Scroll down, or if you have to scroll down at all, to your language. I'm going to be going to en_us. If I don't pass it, there we go, right at the top here, and just delete the comment signs or the pound signs or hashtags, whatever you want to call them, corresponding with your language. I like to also uncheck the ISO, but you really only have to do the UTF-8. And then if you don't know how nano works, you just do Control X to exit. And then it asks you if you want to save the file. You type or hit Y for yes, and then the file name is you just press enter to overwrite the file. So that's all set. Now we can generate our actual file. So we got rid of the comment signs. Basically, now we can read our languages. So these are the two languages we're going to be using. Now we're going to be creating a file. We're going to do this by the echo command. And echo, basically anything after echo is what you're going to be putting inside the file. It's just a quick way to write a file. So we're going to write lang equals enus.utf8. Again, whatever it is for you, make sure it's UTF-8. And then the greater than sign, which means we're writing it to /etc locale.conf for configuration. So basically, if we cat into this file, you can see that that line is just written. It's just a quick way to write something in Linux, if you didn't know. Now we just simply have to export what we just wrote. So it's the same thing with, obviously without the write, so just export, and we're all set with that. Now we're going to create a symbolic link with our time zone. So we do that with the lns command. We go to, it's in the user share zone info. Now if you press tab twice, you can see a list of countries in here. So I'm in US, and I press tab twice again, and you can see different time zones, right? And we're going to do Eastern, and then tab, and then once you're good, it'll make a space for you, and then you just want to link it with etc, and it's going to be local time. Now this file is not going to be, it's not even there yet, so that's why you're basically, this directory right here means the same thing as this directory or file right here. So those are linked up, they mean the same thing. Now we're going to set our hardware clock to UTC with the HW clock command, and we're going to do two tacks. It's going to be SYSTOHC and then UTC option, again 2 tacks. If I can spell it right, let's see, clock. There we are. After that, we're going to do our host name, whatever our host name wants to be. So do echo again, because we're just creating this file. Hostname. What's a good idea for a hostname? Printer, because this is everything but a printer. We want to trick everyone else. That's what we're doing right now. I'm going to write this to etc hostname. So we are a printer. Next, we're going to set the root password with passwd. We're going to enter our password. So just whatever password you want the root account to have. Hopefully I can type it in the same way without wasting your guys' time. And no, I guess not. Your guys are going to be here for a while until I get this. There we go. Now you can add a user if you would like. I usually won't, but I'll give you the command for it just because I only use root on here. I know it's dangerous, but I do it for different reasons. I only use root on this hard drive. Groups, wheel, if you want, you can use games, power, optical, audio, video, storage. Again, these are just groups. You really only need wheel for your admin group. So wheel, and then tach/bin bash, and whatever your username is, apeiron for example, and click enter and it will add that, and then just do a passwd for password space whatever the username is, and it'll set the password for you. And that's basically it. But again, for this one, I'm just going to use a root account. Now what we're going to do is we need to edit some files pretty much. First thing we can do is just actually install Grub. So just pacman grub and install this package. So we're going to do this. Let that install. And we got to do some editing here. So we're going to do nano etc default grub. Hopefully, there we are. Default grub, and what we're going to do is on this actual line right here, we have to do a little bit of modification here. And I might actually have to open up a new terminal menu for me, at least, if you can. If not, you know, just exit out of there if you're doing this on the actual terminal. So we got this, and we want to figure out our UUID. And the reason why we can't set you know, a dev SDC, SDB, or whatever it is on this is because, you know, it changes. It depends what's plugged in first. And this is how we find the UUID. It's pretty much like a MAC address on this. So we want to do a sudo lsblk. I'm going to make it simple and just add the no option, name, and UUID. Oops. And we are going to do the dev SDC2. So whatever your encrypted device is. And there we go. We have the SDC2 and we have the encrypt root here. Now we are going to use this information again to copy the encrypted partion right here. So we're going to copy that, and we can paste it into here after we type in encrypt device equals / and then this is going to be, let's see here, I forget what it actually, I think it's like dev disk by UUID, and then paste that in there. And then after that, what we can do is our user, right? So encrypt root. So whatever, definitely not user, but you know, whatever you put is that in the beginning. And this is it. This is how we're going to find our encrypted device here from the SDC2 partion. So we're gonna, you know, Control X Y enter to save that. After that, we want to nano etc mkinitcpio.conf, and we are going to go all the way down to hooks, as you can see, hooks here. And now we have to do some modifying here, right? So right after block, you want to add encrypt, just like that, and that's going to add the encrypt hook to this. Now you want to, after udev, add block, block, and delete block before encrypt or after mod conf. And this basically, block is just like a USB device, and we have to read that first. It will not work if you won't do this, and obviously the encrypt is for the encryption portion. Here, make sure we don't have unneeded spaces from this. So we got that all set up there, and we can just save that. So after that is done, we have little to do, really. We are pretty much done after this. We just need to actually configure Grub itself. So we're going to install Grub. We're going to do this by doing grub install the recheck command, and we're also going to have a couple additional options because of this that we're going to do. We're going to use a 32-bit to start off of. So we're going to do target equals i386. Let's see, it's hyphen PC, and this is going to be dev SDC or whatever your label is. Don't include a number there. That's going to install Grub for the 32-bit system. Again, this is going to be 32-bit because you might be booting off of a 32-bit system. 64-bit can run on 32-bit, but if you're running on a 32-bit system, you cannot process 64-bit on a different computer. So no errors, we're set. Now we're going to configure it with the grub mkconfig command with the O option /boot grub.cfg. And just like that. And now we can create the initial RAM disk with mkinitcpio with the P option and Linux. So it's going to build everything for us. We'll let that image generate, and once that's all set, we can unmount and see how this works, right? So we can exit, we can umount r/usb/boot, we can unmount the USB directory, and we're going to need to crypt setup close. We're going to have to close our encrypt root user, and now we can exit, and we can boot off this. So I'll be back once I boot off this. Alright guys, so I just booted into the hard disk and everything worked. I cannot show you because then I'll have to set everything up and transfer everything. I think it's just easier for me to tell you that if you follow every single step in here, make sure you include the right UUID, and it should work for you. Again, if you have any questions or problems you're running into at all, just post in the comment section below or email me. My email is going to be in the description. I'll respond to everything. But thank you again for watching, guys. Hope it worked for you. Subscribe, like, comment, whatever you want to do. Thank you again. Peace.